the highest legendary base DPS weapon for primary burst damage in PvE, and a PvP sidearm that makes your first fight easier and still lets you 4-tap after it. I'm Lego Flash, and this is Compact Defender, the new dynamic heat sidearm in Destiny 2 Renegades. That's now one of my favorite weapons of all time. I know people come to this channel for fusion rifle guides, but I've put more numbers on this sidearm than any other fusion rifle in this amount of time. And I soloed the new dungeon with it. This sidearm does everything. I can't believe the lack of talk around these perk combos and the amount of hidden stuff packed in here. I'm going to start with the intrinsic stat bonuses of Compact Defender. Yes, there is a list. And then get to the perks and god rolls for both PvE and PvP because I've tested and sharpened these combos into pure gold. Okay, the obvious bonus is that Compact Defender is a heat weapon. The not so obvious is that this is a lightweight frame heat weapon. You can feel it just like the other lightweight sidearms, Heliocentric, Anonymous Ottoman, Faustus Decline, where Compact Defender needs 5 crits to eliminate at base and PvP, firing at 360 RPM. In PvE and PvP, it also gets the lightweight frame speed bonus, which puts you at half the speed of an arc speed boost all the time. No prerequisites. And there's more. It's a dynamic heat weapon. Both balanced heat weapons and dynamic heat weapons get bonus damage to enemies, but balanced heat weapons only get 15% to higher tier enemies. Dynamic heat weapons, like this one, get 15% more damage to rank and file enemies and then 32.25% more damage to those higher tier enemies that balanced heat only gets 15%. Continuous reloads aside, legendary sidearms are already one of the highest DPS burst primaries in the game next to SMGs, and lightweight sidearms specifically are in the top half of those. The only other primary heat weapon close to this category of DPS is the Heat SMG M17 Fast Talker, but it's a balanced heat weapon, which means a lot less extra damage, making Compact Defender the strongest legendary primary weapon in Destiny 2 PvE for burst damage before we even start speccing it out and making builds, which I want to get to, but there's still more free stuff because this is a heat weapon at all. Compact Defender will auto reload passively, and if you do start your reload, you can end the cooling early and still partially reload, activating any reload perks like Kill Clip early, even on that partial reload. I see you, Paul Tassi. Heat weapons also come with bonus perks in the magazine column. They actually don't have magazines, they run on batteries, just like fusion rifles. So we've got more options for different stats, higher base damage, faster passive cooling, and even less heat generation to fire longer. That is so much stuff, intrinsically, automatically, before we even get to the stat numbers at all. Just look at this list. Lightweight speed bonus, extra damage against enemies, even more damage against higher tier enemies, passive auto reload, extra perk bonuses, and you liking and subscribing to the channel. Okay, the perks you combine this with are going to blow your mind. Seriously. I can't wait to talk about what is essentially reverse closing time for PvP, but quickly, the actual stats we start with. Compact Defender has the highest stability of any lightweight sidearm at 47, the highest ammo generation at 54. In my opinion, these are two of the most important stats on these lightweight frames, as ammo generation is a key part of my PvP and PvE builds, and the stability of this family of sidearms is probably the one thing keeping most players away from it. Now, we do have slightly lower aim assist, but it's hardly anything, 1 to 3 points, a slight bit more lower range, but since it's a tier 5 weapon, we have extra ways to push the range if you need to. The one I'm not going to fix is recoil direction, which is probably the worst offense here compared to other lightweights. It doesn't personally bother me, but just be aware of that direction pull compared to the other lightweight sidearms. Now the good stuff. Perks. We're already working with the strongest primary burst legendary in Destiny 2, so for the Compact Defender PvE perks, you can look for utility or just stack that damage. The third column is a no-brainer destabilizing rounds for me no matter what your build. If you run a low melee stat armor build, you could utilize proximity power, but keep in mind that's just melee stat bonus, not melee energy. Then, dissipating heat with cooling baubles just doesn't compare to void explosions, especially since you can fire for longer already if you manage to get the accelerated assault origin trait, which is very rare and you should absolutely prioritize finding. But the point is, destabilizing rounds is probably where it's at for you. The fourth column is where the tough decisions are made. That is, if you're not a hunter or are not building into the void stuff, which you might as well, because you've already chosen destabilizing rounds in the third column pretty much no matter what. So you're going to want Repulsor Brace in the fourth and get that overshield on void debuff kills. Specifically to hunters, you stack this on top of the new exotic boots, Fortune's Favor, and you are constantly getting an extra 20% buff for this heat weapon, and it gives you 15% more damage on top of any other weapon too. Thank you Mactix for that dungeon guide on the boots, and also thank you Esoteric for pointing out how to use this sidearm perk specifically on Compact Defender to constantly have the overshield up for Fortune's Favor. I honestly felt like Warlock levels of survivability and damage with Fortune's Favor and Compact Defender. Insane. Now, of course, you could go all out on damage with any of these other fourth column perks. The one you're most curious about is probably Thermal Atomization, but it maxes out at only 14% extra damage. Frenzy is 15% for just being in combat for a while. Swashbuckler is the highest damage bonus here that can keep refreshing on kills after the melee, and Kill Clip has the partial reload trick since this is a heat weapon. But honestly, are you really looking to be doing damage stacking on this weapon? I almost guarantee the answer is no, due to how strong and essential special ammo is currently. All that extra intrinsic damage does matter for killing ads quickly and proccing destabilizing, but I bet for fourth column, you're still going to be swayed towards Repulsor Brace even if you're not building into it that much. For the Compact Defender PvP perks, I've got two very big recommendations for you. One, you're not going to believe this, but forget Rangefinder. I really thought that was going to be the perk here. It was just buffed to give you plus 10 range on top of the aim assist bonuses of Zoom, but the new perk, Delicate Tuning, blows Rangefinder away. I tried several versions with both, and I kept wondering why my Delicate Tuning rolls felt so good. I thought maybe it was the stats, but then I looked at the specifics. Delicate Tuning is basically reverse closing time, but better. When enhanced, you start your first shot off with plus 22 range, and it goes down from there to plus 11 range at halfway through the mag or heat. It also gives extra handling and decreased accuracy cone growth. Now, I'm going to try not to nerd out too hard on the difference between accuracy cone growth and regular accuracy cone buffs, but suffice it to say, accuracy cone growth is the good stuff. It's the stuff they won't put on fusion rifles because it breaks them. It's the type of buff that's loaded into dynamic sway reduction to make it magnificent. So, you get this small buff to the good stuff, plus 22 range to start and handling. I will not use Compact Defender in PvP without this perk. And you cannot say that you've even really tried this sidearm until you got a drop with this perk. It's that good. Now, for the other big recommendation. This trick can be used for all lightweight sidearms, but has bonuses and dangers for this specific sidearm as well. I often struggle choosing which lightweight sidearm I want to use in PvP due to the choice of initial engagement ease with Enhanced Precision Instrument, which is a very forgiving 2-body 3-crit 0.67 TTK, when usually you need all 5 crits, versus my follow-up engagement with something like Harmony on Anonymous Autumn for a lightning 4-crit at 0.5 seconds. With being required to generate special ammo with the current ammo economy, it makes sense that the answer is Enhanced Precision Instrument all the way. But I want both. I want it both ways. And the new second column perk option for heat weapons that increases damage sent me on a mission to do just that. My ADHD definitely took over on this one, so stick with me, because the answer is yes in more ways than one. If you don't want to nerd out, skip to the PvP God Rolls timestamp, but if you want the details on Kill Clip, Harmony, and Precision Instrument rolled into one, hear me out. Overclock Heatsink is the new second column perk that lets you slightly increase your damage by 2%. If you stack that onto Enhanced Precision Instrument, run at least 124 weapon stat, and then stack on 2 Void Surge mods, you can have the benefits of an easy first engagement, grab the orb from that kill, and then have a 4-crit 0.5 second engagement, just as if you had Kill Clip or Harmony. With 153 weapon stat, you only need 1 Surge mod to do it with this perk combo. Now, I ran into one significant problem here and also a solution. Shout out to Walla for showcasing the weird problem with Overclock Heatsink to begin with. I didn't understand what was happening until I remembered watching his video explaining it. This perk causes a delay. Not noticeable in fire rate, but in your actual kills. It's so strange and makes the weapon feel really inconsistent once you have this perk going, even though the actual 4-tap still happens. So back to the drawing board, right? Maybe save this roll for later? But can we make this happen without overclocked heatsink now? And the answer is yes. Enhanced Precision Instrument with 2 Void Surge mods plus a high weapon stat of at least 164, and you are 4-tapping after your first engagement without overclock heatsink or kill clip or harmony, just Enhanced Precision Instrument, the Surge mods, and 164 weapon stat. This is crazy. The best of an easy first engagement and a fast follow-up 4-tap. There is another ridiculous way to do it with 1 Surge mod and 194 weapon stat, but who's doing that? Most probably won't even run my 164, but I happen to run 172 anyways most of the time because I'm a crazy glass cannon. So, what are the full god rolls? First, the Compact Defender PvP god rolls. I've got an overall recommendation on stats that feel best, but you can get there 2 different ways. While I do have an extremely important 4th column suggestion, no matter what you choose for the last part, the most important thing for feel and accuracy is that you get enhanced delicate tuning. And combo it with base barrel, battery, and masterwork and mod that get you to around 70 stability and 43 range at base. I've tried pushing the stats around a ton of different ways, but this is the stat setup, combined with the range and accuracy cone growth benefits from delicate tuning that feel best. Delicate tuning will push your range to 65 initially, so it's more like an average 60 range and 70 stability once you factor everything in, and it's incredible. Now there are 2 primary god rolls that I'm looking at to get those stats. One way, which is my current roll, is Enhanced Corkscrew or Small Bore for a small bump to everything, Particle Repeater for more stability, Cooling Efficiency Masterwork, and the Enhanced Range mod. Now, in my opinion, the cooling efficiency is a bit of a wash. Don't get me wrong, the ease of firing for a bit and not reloading and having it reload a little bit faster in the background is great. And leaning into that for this sidearm adds a whole new part to your playstyle where you frequently don't have to waste time on a reload. I've put almost 1,000 kills on this specific roll already, and it never lets me down. But I would much prefer to try another way. 1, try out Enhanced Small Bore, Ionized Heatsink, which is minus 20 heat generation so I can fire longer right away, a Stability Masterwork, and an Enhanced Range mod. This puts me at about the same stats, but able to fire longer without reloading. Granted, a penalty to reloading speed, but my weapon still cools down as fast on its own. I'd even do with just Enhanced Heatsink for only minus 10 heat generation, so no reload downsides. Whatever gets me firing more for multiple opponents with the great stats I already have. I need one of these. Can't wait to get it. Now, taking on multiple opponents leads me to my last column suggestion. Just like I hinted at in the perks section, it's hands down Enhanced Precision Instrument. Regular Precision Instrument is still 1 body 4 crit, so you must have Enhanced for the very forgiving 2 body 3 crit. And I don't really care about the 4 crit 0.5 second TTK from kill clip because I'm going to have the best of both worlds like I talked about in the perks section by running a high weapon stat of at least 164, running at least 2 Void Surge mods, and activating it all from an orb after a kill, giving me enough of a damage boost to still 4 crit 0.5 second TTK without kill clip. Later on, if they fix the weird lag on overclock heatsink, I'll try to swap my battery to one of those, replacing the heat generation second column, exact same everything else, so I can just run 1 Surge mod and lower weapon stat of 153, or 2 Surge mods and 125 weapon stat. But for now, this fits my playstyle nicely without the weird overclocked perk, and still gives me the opportunity for those 4 taps. Before I get to final thoughts, you definitely want a PvE God Roll 2, since as far as I can tell, it's the strongest burst legendary DPS primary in the game. The Compact Defender PvE God Roll combo for me is no question destabilizing rounds and repulsor brace for all the subclass and exotic interaction I covered in the perks section. This is the most important thing to me, but accelerated salt will also make a massive difference, giving a sort of auto reload by lowering your heat as you fire, but it's pretty rare to find those. How I would spec my stats out for PvE is all about minimal heat generation. For the barrel, literally any barrel that doesn't take away stats, but I always like the ones that push range a little bit for damage fall off regions. So hammer forward, small bore, and corkscrew. For the battery, I'm going enhanced heat sink for -10 heat generation, but I could definitely see an argument for enhanced light heat sink or tactical heat sink for bonus reload speed. A similar thing happens with the masterwork, where I would actually go for the reload masterwork since there's no heat option here, and I find myself reloading a lot more than relying on passive cooling in PvE. That said, there is an enhanced heat generation mod, and whether you go cooling or reload in the masterwork, I would go enhanced heat generation for the mod. If I lost you at all there, it's because it's a bit up to you and whether you find yourself wanting to shoot longer, wanting to rely on passive cooling reload, or find yourself manually reloading a lot. I personally just land on wanting to shoot more and adding in some reload buffs where I can, which will be the masterwork for me. So where does Compact Defender line up compared to the other sidearms we have? Very honestly and simply, in both PvP and PvE, there isn't a single sidearm that holds a candle to this dynamic heat sidearm. For PvE, your main argument for using something else is either going to be one of three things. 1, you need something more long range for this encounter. 2, I need a different element interaction for this build. Or 3, I just need a special weapon because a ton of builds just don't need a primary weapon. But if you don't fall into one of those 3 camps, you need Compact Defender. Even if the perks don't exactly line up for you, it's got everything in the list we said at the very beginning that no other primary does. Lightweight speed bonus, extra damage against enemies, even more damage against high tier enemies, passive auto reload, extra perk bonuses, and you liking and subscribing to the video. In PvP, there are also a few of the same reasons you wouldn't want to run it. Number 1, you need something long range. Number 2, you need something for your build. Or number 3, you just don't like lightweight sidearms. Maybe you prefer forgiveness style burst sidearms. Really strong too, and made to hit a bit further. But for me personally, this thing is perfect. Hitting that 2-body, 3 crit, at 0.67 seconds with enhanced precision instrument for the initial engagement is something I can count on all the time. And the way I can just stop firing and not take the time to reload but use another weapon and then come back to this one and it's just auto reloaded, this is a dream sidearm for PvP. Even if this weapon had weapon swapping perks, I'm not sure I would use them because I can get the same 4 crits still using precision instrument with some surge mods and weapon stats. It's just a fantastic sidearm all around, and Bungie keeps one-upping themselves with sidearms, especially bringing me my favorite frame of sidearms so frequently lately. I don't really expect to see lightweights for a while after getting this one so good with Compact Defender. If you made it to the end, let me know in the comments along with the perks you're most interested in, and if you're here for the first time, thanks for joining. This has been LEGO the Flash. Until next time, GG.